You know, this guy collected this wood. It was really, really long shoots, and he needed to fit it in one of these apple bins to put it in cold storage. So he cut all the little ends off and left the big ones. And he should have done just the opposite, because what he left us with was mostly these big dog beaters here that you can't cut through. He cut the good wood off and threw it away and saved saved this. He was out here. He said, "Oh yeah, I should have," because he could see me cutting it off the little end, and sometimes only getting one or two. Normally cut from this end, cut the hardened part off, and then 2 or 3 or so. That's normal size wood. What we're supposed to have. He saw me struggling and cutting some from the little end, and maybe only getting one. I've got 2 big blisters on my fingers right now. He said, "Oh, I should have saved a little. I should have done this. Or should have done." I said, "No, what you should have done was kept that sample that I gave you, because I gave him a sample back in the winter, what size we needed." I said, "You got to give it to those guys to carry out in the field when they're collecting this wood, because if you don't, you veer off the track. You know, they'll get out there and start daydreaming about their sister-in-law or something, and pretty soon they're just picking up whatever." And so that's kind of what happened here. He didn't give them their sample. He just said, "Here, collect this size and let them go." So consequently, I'm going through a lot of wood to get a little bit. He got you know, kind of crappy wood, but fortunately he got a whole lot of crappy wood. So we'll make it. And of course, this is not the first time this has happened, and it'll surely not be the last. But this video, I'm going to talk about something personal. And on my other channel, I've had guys tell me, you shouldn't be talking about this, or you shouldn't be talking about that, because you know, there's so much political correctness that drives me nuts, and people tell me what I should and shouldn't talk about. But this is my channel. I can talk about whatever I want to. And I'm going to get a little bit personal, but I want to dedicate this video to a gentleman named James Walter Krause, who taught me this business and a lot of other things. He was my friend and my mentor, and he hired me in 1981, and I was 28 years old and didn't really have anything too special going on in my life career-wise. I had some experience with operating equipment and working in orchards, but most people would have been well settled into a career by that age, but I really wasn't. I was ready to jump ship, and he hired me, and I already had a work ethic. My father taught me that. Growing up on a farm, he taught me you got to get up in the morning and go to work. And that's why I don't ever hire anybody with big ears, because you know, if they got real big ears, their daddy had to grab them by the ear and pull them out of bed in the morning. So I don't hire people with big ears. Anyway, Mr. Krause hired me in 1981, so I'm starting my 40th season. I mentioned that. As a commercial grafter, I first grafted in 1974. It was just something that you did in orchard work. It's commonplace, so I learned a little bit about it. My dad tried to teach me when I was about 12 years old, but I wasn't paying any attention. So I've been around this grafting thing a long time, but Jim hired me, and he treated me with so much respect. This is where it's going to get personal. I grew up somewhere along the way, growing up as a kid. Somewhere along the way, I formed an opinion of myself, and I thought that I was basically just poor white trash, and didn't have too high of an opinion of myself, and didn't have real high aspirations. But I was poor, but I wasn't trash. And Jim treated me with so much respect, and I never had that happen before. Even although I was 7 years his junior and I didn't have a college degree, he talked to me with the same respect that he would had he been talking to the president. Well, depends on which president, I suppose, but anyway, consequently, because of that, because of the way he treated me, I started to gain a little bit of confidence, and I started to believe in myself a little bit. And I thought, you know, maybe I can do something worthwhile in my life. And so I got a knack for this grafting thing. I just took to it like a duck to water, and I already had the work ethic. I already knew how to run a chainsaw, and I learned to wield a knife pretty well. And I made it known to him that I thought my intentions were to start my own grafting business, maybe. And you know, knowing that, a lot of guys, when they find out that you're going to quit, they fire you anyway, because you're not going to be around, so they don't want to waste their time. They don't want to invest time training you if you're going to leave anyway. But Jim did just the opposite. He helped me all he could. I remember one time he said, come, I'm going to call this client, and he said, set up the next job. And this was back when you had to go find a payphone to call the client. He said, I want you to come and hear this conversation, because he wanted me to learn what questions to ask, points to make, things to bring up, things that this gentleman needed to do in order to get ready for us for our arrival. And he just helped me all he could. And I just want to thank Jim Krause for that. And I learned a lot about him, from him, about the business. I learned a lot about grafting, and I learned a lot about how to treat people. And I learned a lot about what to do in the business, and I learned some things not to do in business. He always priced on the low end. He really priced, and you know, he just wanted to do the guy good and do him right and give him a good price. But sometimes it didn't pan out. You know, sometimes it didn't leave much room for profit. And so, but I just took everything that I learned from him, and I'm eternally grateful. I started this grafting thing, and I have never looked back. Not for one single second have I ever regretted making this my life's work. I never got rich, but you know, I bought a couple houses and paid off a couple ex-wives and raised a couple kids, and you know, and always had money to put gas in the car and to buy a hamburger. And that was okay with me, because there was lots of times in my life that I didn't have that money. I was broke a lot of times in my life. And so, you know, I never dreamed when I was a kid, or even that young man, that young 28-year-old man that he hired, I never dreamed that I would be able to run my own business, much less own a corporation and write my own contracts and do work with the likes of Ian J. Gallo and Kendall Jackson, Robert Mondavi, probably three of the largest wine producers in the world back at the time, doing thousands and thousands of acres of grapes in California, grafting big contracts, and never dreamed I'd be doing that. One year we had one job. I contracted one job that was 800 acres and at 1,000 miles to the acre, and then that coupled with the grafting that we did in Washington that year, we put in 1 million grafts. Yeah, that was my goal. That was always my goal when I started. And that finally happened back in the late 80s, early 90s, I suppose. But like I said, I'm just very grateful for Jim taking his time and the approach that he took with me, knowing full well I was going to go on my own, and he still did everything he could to help me. And I thank you for that, Jim. It's been a nice career, and I'm talking like it's over, but it's not over. I'm just old. So I don't know how long. I'll probably keep doing it, you know. I'm out here, and I'm really enjoying this warm, sunshiny day, and these two big blisters on my hand, and it's all good. So thank you, Jim. Appreciate you, my brother. By the way, guy walked by a while ago. I'm sure he was just shaking his head, going, "There's a local gringo standing over there talking to himself, habla, habla, habla," you know. I almost stopped the video, and then I go, "Yeah, I don't care. It don't matter." Vanity was something I lost a long time ago, obviously.